You guys, welcome to an all-new episode of So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. This is your Tuesday episode. How the heck are we doing? I have now tried to record this intro. This is my third time. The last time, you guys, I just stared off into space while I was trying to remember what Ariana Grande's name is. Wow, folks, it is going excellent for me today. But how the heck is your day going? I hope it's good. I hope your Tuesday is good. I hope my Tuesday is good. I had a Monday that started strong and then just completely went off the rails and crashed. Have you ever had that where you're moving along, you're getting things done, and then you get a little piece of news or information and it completely derails your day, and you're just like, I can't do anything. You know, that's the thing. As we get older, you think you have like tricks in your toolbox to get you through like tough news or information. And then you find out those tools, you're like, who did I lend my tools to? Who didn't give me my tools back? Because it completely derailed me. You ever do that? I can't be the only person that happens to, but I just couldn't, it completely derailed me. So I'm finally getting back on track. Hopefully you had a way better Monday than I did, but listen, we're here now. Let's have a great time. I have a great guest for you today as well, you guys. Her name is Jennifer Faison. She actually works in television production as a producer, which I would do a whole episode just about her television production work, which we touch on briefly. But more importantly, for the purposes of this show, I can't wait to talk. I can't wait for you to hear her because she is the executive producer of a podcast called Betrayal. It is now in its second season, but it was named one of the number one top podcasts of 2022. And now the podcast, which is based on her real true life story, has been turned into a 3-part docuseries for ABC News Studios called Betrayal: The Perfect Husband. And the kind of little subtitle is A Woman Uncovers the Devious Double Life of Her Teacher of the Year husband after he is arrested for doing just wild things. He had this completely double life. And I think you are going to be so interested in not only the podcast, but this 3-part docuseries, which you can find on Hulu. I binged it this weekend. I talked about it briefly on Monday's episode, but I thought it was just so interesting. And especially coming off of Scandival and just all of the stories that have come out and continue to come out and probably will continue to come out about men and these insane, like just the things that they're doing that are just so harmful and wild. And I mean, it's otherworldly. It feels like sometimes, but Jennifer was good enough to come on and talk to us about her story. And I just think she is just so fascinating. The story is so gripping, and I think you're going to be blown away. So go check out not just the interview today, which you can skip to right now, because remember, we do timestamps because I'm going to do a couple pop culture stories before then, but you can skip to that interview right now. But I was just over the moon that Jennifer came on and talked with us today. But like I said, she has such amazing work in her television career so far. She worked on Jersey Shore, you guys. She worked on Judge Judy. She worked on Extreme Makeover Home Edition. Just littered with these amazing TV credits. And unfortunately, I would have loved to have just picked her brains about all of that. But she has just such a fascinating story that I think is just so helpful to women out there in particular that I wanted to make you guys aware of it. Okay. So we'll get to that in a second. Also, moving on. It's Tuesday, July 18th, so I wanted to say a big happy birthday to my mom, Becky Bailey. It is her birthday. I don't think she listens to this podcast anymore. She actually took away her 5-star rating. I'm kidding. She didn't. But actually, if you want to, you can leave me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify in honor of my mom. No, it's her birthday today. We are wildly lucky for her to be here for her birthday, and I will be celebrating with her Tuesday evening, and I'm very excited about that. So happy birthday, Mom. Happy birthday. You guys, you listeners have rallied around her and my family so much. I'm so excited to be able to see all of the cards that you've sent her, and it just blows me away. It blows her away. I can never express my things. So I'll say it one more time. Thank you. Moving on to some pop culture stories. Listen, I always make the joke that Camelot has fallen when I see a celebrity couple split. But today we have double Camelots have fallen because we had 2 celebrity couples announce divorce. Yeah, love is dead, folks. I mean, are we getting it by now? Love is completely dead, especially if you're a celebrity. If you are a celebrity, you have no shot of your marriage working. And that's why I always think Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, they did it right. They've been together, it seems like, for over 40 years now. They never got married. They seem happy as buttons. They just great. They're doing great, it seems like. Actually, that would wreck me. If I found out Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell break up, completely would devastate me. But these are the most recent celebrity divorce breakups. We have Ariana Grande and her husband Dalton Gomez announcing their divorce. TMZ is reporting that they just couldn't make it in a post-COVID world. Listen, who can do anything in a post-COVID world? Who can do anything in a pre-COVID world? Are you kidding me? And I got this. Okay, can we be honest here? This is Ariana Grande, right? Talented, the voice that comes out of this. I mean, what an insane voice coming out of that little body. She was spotted at Wimbledon this weekend, just surrounded by her co-star from Wicked. And I was just surrounded by celebrities everywhere. Looked like she was having a great time. Little did we know at the time that she was splitting from her husband, Dalton Gomez, who works in real estate. The thing with this Dalton Gomez, though, my one big thought about him, even when they got together, is that he looks like a male Ariana Grande. Like, you know what I'm saying? He looks like a child. And I know he probably makes way more than I do, way more successful, all that stuff. But look at a picture of him. The man looks like a child. And I'm not saying like Ariana needs to get with a man. I'm not saying anything like that. It was just like that thing you notice where you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like Ariana Grande seems like she has a very unique taste in men. That's fine. That's her taste. But yeah, I guess they're splitting up. He flew to London a couple months ago or last month to try to make this marriage work. And I guess it was like a last ditch attempt that did not work. But I find it interesting, these couples that a lot of people just shacked up during COVID. And it was probably for a lot of them the time of their lives because they were in a love bubble while we were forced to be in a pandemic bubble. And then you get out of that bubble and life happens, life continues on, it moves on. So I'm sure we'll hear more about the ins and outs of that relationship. She's rumored to potentially be with her co-star in Wicked, which is a 2-part movie that is being filmed right now. They actually had to stop production because of the Screen Actors Guild strike, which we just started, last week, which I'll go into a little bit today. I wanted to give you a little bit more information as I just got an email from the Screen Actors Guild. So that was one celebrity divorce. So rest in peace. I don't think we gave them a couple name. Was it like Ariana Gomez, Ariomez? I don't even know what a good. Do you think she'll get back with Pete Davidson? How's Pete Davidson, by the way? I know he checked into rehab a couple of weeks ago, and it was kind of like it was announced, but it kind of slid under the radar. And it wasn't for drugs or alcohol abuse, allegedly. It was for mental health issues, is that he needed kind of a retuning. And that's an expensive retuning, but I hope he's getting all the help that he needs. But do you remember that relationship? I mean, of course you do. I just remember that Pete was on Saturday Night Live at the time. You had those iconic paparazzi photos of them walking out of the New York apartment building where she's sucking on the lollipop and he has the hoodie over his head. And she just looks like she is like, woo, like something just went down and she was happy with it. You know those photos. And then Pete, went on like Saturday Night Live. He felt like the king of the world. I remember him going on Stern and like Ariana Grande was in the green room and wouldn't come in to talk to Howard. I remember that. And then that relationship kind of fell apart. I don't want to brand Ariana a such and such or whatever. Who knows? And also, like, it's the same thing with Taylor Swift. Like, the fact that Taylor Swift gets blowback for dating a lot of guys. Guys don't even date a lot of girls. Guys just sleep around a lot. So these girls can date whoever the flip they want. I don't care about that. I more care about she's, like, marrying dudes that look like children. That's wild. The other relationship, unfortunately, after a 7-year marriage, Joe Manganiello and Sofia Vergara from Modern Family are getting a divorce. This was rumored now, I think, for the past week because this is wild. It was her birthday a couple of days ago, and Joe Manganiello on her Instagram birthday post, he wrote like Feliz Cumpleaños, Sofia. like a really basic birthday wish, but still a birthday wish. And fans underneath it said it wasn't a good enough birthday wish. They said, this isn't a very loving birthday wish. And I just thought, listen, by the way, the fans were right. There turns out they're getting a divorce. But how interesting is that you put out a birthday wish and then immediately Instagram commenters are like, not good enough, Joe. Come on. She needs more sugar than that, buddy. Let's go. But they were right. But isn't it funny? Like if you're in the public eye at all, you are a fair target to be able to dissect that relationship and like just fully hammer any point that you don't agree with or anything that you think is fishy. You can just write it underneath the post. And in this case, they were right. So this is a 7-year relationship that they are getting a divorce from. There is not any kind of cheating allegations, not yet. I don't think there will be either. I'm hearing that they just grew apart. Now, I've told this story. I don't know if on this, I think I just told this story on She Speaks Bravo's podcast a couple of weeks ago. But I used to be in acting class with Joe Manganiello. And you want to tell you something that's going to make you feel really insecure is taking a picture with Joe Manganiello. I remember my ex loved Joe Manganiello. This was before he did True Blood. Like I was there when he got the part of the werewolf in True Blood. Remember that when he kind of really, I mean, he was always an amazing actor and was making his living at it, but he had yet to get that part. He had yet to do Magic Mike. I remember when Joe, how he was like eating this particular diet to like bulk up for True Blood once he got that part. Joe is an amazing actor. But my ex loved him from the show One Tree Hill, the CW show that he was did a couple seasons on, or a season. And I remember her going, this is my ex going, get a picture of Joe for me. Like, imagine that you're dating somebody who's like, actually, I was married at this point. Get a picture of Joe. I'm like, why do you want a picture? Just get a picture of Joe for me. And I have this picture. I was trying to find it today. And it's like it's like Beauty and the Beast. This guy just model. And I'm like, yee! It's like Quasimodo. I'm like, hey, Joe. And by the way, and then I sent it to her and she was like, I didn't ask for you to be in it. I just asked for a solo shot of Joe. Man, I'm like, I didn't know you wanted just a solo shot of Joe. I'm like, why don't you just go buy a magazine? Anywho, really great guy, great actor. I know he is very strong in his sobriety. He's been sober for a very long time, even when I knew him, and just really good guy. In fact, I told this story the first time I went over to his mansion, which I know they're selling now. Beautiful mansion. And I was interviewing him for a podcast I used to do for the acting studio I worked at. And this never got released because at the time, I remember he had just been cast in Ben Affleck's Batman. Ben Affleck was directing a Batman movie that actually has never seen the light of day because it never started filming because Ben Affleck backed out. And he was playing like the villain in the Batman movie. It was like, what was his? It was like Death Knot or Slit. I'm trying to think of the character he was playing. But I went over there and I just did an interview about how he got his start. And it was just this amazing multi-hour interview. I'm in his mansion that him and Sofia shared. I'm in his man cave, which is all like dark mahogany. And there's like his gym out there and all of these like trophies. And I mean, just a movie theater, a workout room. It was like the coolest house I'd ever seen. And we're doing this interview in this like dark mahogany man cave-ish room, having the best time. And then all of a sudden the door opens and in comes Sofia Vergara from Modern Family. And I had never met Sofia. And I'm like, obviously a beautiful woman. She walks in, you guys. I was like, she was more beautiful than she is on TV. Like, I would say by like 10 times. I was like, and she brought in warm, fresh beignets. She just came in to drop off warm beignets. And Joe, I think Joe probably saw me with my like mouth agape and he was kind of laughed. He was like, hi, this is Ryan. And I'm like, my God, like Sofia Vergara just bringing in warm, fresh beignets. And then I had to return to the interview and I was like, my God. And if they can't make it work, two insanely gorgeous people, what hope do any of us have? So I'm sure we'll find out more information about that. But it really, if they can't make it, how are we all going to do it? Anyways, tonight we have the Below Deck Sailing Yacht Part 1 of the reunion, which was also a Watch What Happens Live pseudo interview. Those Below Deck reunions don't get like a studio with Andy. They all get little Zoom screens, and Andy kind of asks questions from the Watch What Happens Live set, because I also think it's very hard to film because all of these guys are still on like yachting seasons in like different countries. But I really enjoyed this season of Sailing Yacht, so I liked seeing this Part 1. And also, we had the premiere of Below Deck Down Under with Captain Jason and Aisha, and I thought the first episode was great. I'm just so the Below Deck series, I just think is so chef's kiss. It is just low. I don't want to say low stakes television because I love it. It almost sounds like that's a negative, but it's something that is just so comforting. I think I said that last night. It's like comfort food, the Below Deck series for me. So that was on tonight. Highly recommend that. I watched Real Housewives of New York for a second time this morning. I liked it even better the second time. My full recap will be out later this week. And in fact, I think I'll be on Kate Casey's podcast, Reality Life with Kate Casey. I did an interview with her for her show today talking about Roni. So that should be out today or tomorrow. I'm not sure when the release is, but go check that out. Kate is always incredible and awesome and supportive. Very excited to do that. And one last thing I want to talk about before we get to our guest Jennifer today is the Screen Actors Guild strike. Now, the Screen Actors Guild, we just started striking last week. And the Writers Guild have been striking now for a couple of months. And a lot of people have been asking me, what is this all about? And I got this email today from Screen Actors Guild that I wanted to go through with you guys, if it's okay with you. Here's the email. It says, here's the simple truth. We're up against a system where those in charge of multi-billion-dollar media conglomerates are rewarded for exploiting workers. At the end of the day, and if you watch Succession, you understand this, but basically these conglomerates, they're making money for their shareholders. At the end of the day, they don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about their workers. They care about the almighty dollar and getting a return for their investors and a return for themselves. The heads of these companies are making insane amounts of money. Bob Iger making upwards of $300 million. David Zaslav making close to $487 million over the last 5 years. That's really, really insane money for just kind of taking away money and rights and all of these things from people that work for them. It goes down all the way to us, the viewers at home. It affects us as well. So it says the company is represented by the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which we always call the AMPTP, which include Amazon, MGM, Apple, Disney, ABC, Fox, which is all one, NBC Universal, which is Bravo's a part of, Netflix, Paramount, CBS, Sony, Warner Brothers, Discovery, which is now HBO as well, and others are committed to prioritizing shareholders and Wall Street. Detailed below are some of the key issues of the negotiation and where things stand. We moved on some things, but from day one, they wouldn't meaningfully engage on the most critical issues. One of these issues being performers need minimum earnings to simply keep up with inflation. I don't know if you guys have noticed the cost of living keeps going up. And for actors and writers, we're not making more to make up for that inflation. So what we wanted is that we needed an 11% general wage increase in year one of this new contract. So the members, us, the Screen Actors Guild, can recover from record inflation during the previous contract term. And what they said is the most that they will give us is 5%, even though that means our 2023 earnings will effectively be a significant pay cut due to inflation, and it is likely that we will still be working for less than our 2020 wages in the year 2026, which is when that contract would start. I know it's a little crazy. When I hear and see numbers, my mind goes blank as well. But basically, they're just not keeping up with inflation in any kind of significant or meaningful way. And the last couple of contracts, we keep not getting these increases at all. So you might say 11%, that sounds like a lot. But remember, contract over contract, we have not received any sort of increase. It also says performers need the protection of our images and performances to prevent replacement of human performances by artificial intelligence technology. This is a big one, you guys. AI. It's a hot button issue. You've heard of ChatGPT, but think of that now in the realm of replicating actors, replicating our image, replicating our voice. I told you guys this a while ago. My buddy Sean put some of my podcasts into an AI generator, and he sent me a clip that sounded so much like me and sounded like a topic that I would completely talk about, that I was so confused, because I was like, I don't remember what episode I said that in, but I was I was like, well, that's definitely me. And I didn't even question it. And then he told me it was AI. It was a whole segment on Kris Jenner that I was like, wow, that's a really good podcast. It was like, when he told me, I was like, damn, that's almost as good, if not better, than what I put out there. I mean, I'm being facetious, but you know what I'm saying? It was wild. And that was without my approval. And that's really scary, because we work really hard on these things, and none of us are millionaires except for like 0.2% of the Screen Actors Guild and 0.1% of Writers Guild. I'm making up those figures entirely. But for every Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise, you have a million actors that are nowhere near that are near poverty if they were just to go by their actors' wages. So what we want is a comprehensive set of provisions to grant informed consent and fair compensation when a digital replica is made of our performance, or our performance is changed using artificial intelligence. So it's basically saying you can't just put a Ryan AI out there and tell that Ryan AI what to say and not pay me for that, or not have me part of that conversation. And what they came back with is, says, we want to be able to scan a background performer's image, pay them for a half of day's labor, and then use an individual's likeness for any purpose forever without their consent. We also want to be able to make changes to principal performers' dialogue and even create new scenes without informed consent. Consent is always key. We've talked about that on this podcast so many times. And we want to be able to use someone's images, likenesses, and performances to train new generative AI systems without consent or compensation. I mean, this one is insane, you guys. This one is insane. They're acting like they don't really know how algorithms and AI work, but they want control of all of it. And secretly, they know how powerful and how dangerous this truly is. And right now, you would say, well, I would never watch an AI movie. The technology is kind of weird. When you put an AI image in there, it'll make you look like you have fish hands sometimes. But when the technology keeps getting better at the rate it is, it's really scary, you guys. It's really scary. There's got to be something unique to what we as humans do, that something that I can share that a computer can't. We have to be able to agree that we want the humanity. We all need that. Everything can't just be computer generated. That's not a world in which I want to live in. And at least we want to be a part of the conversation so we can have meaningful dialogue about this. Here's another one. Performers need qualified hair and makeup professionals, as well as equipment to safely and effectively style a variety of hair textures, styles, and skin tones. And so we said, how about consultations with qualified hair and makeup professionals for all performers on set to ensure equity for performers of color, and a requirement to have the proper tools and equipment. And they said, begrudgingly, we will do this for principal performers, but background actors are on their own. So basically that's saying, we'll take care of Tom Hanks, but all the background actors, the no names, the people that fill in the scene, good luck. Then the next one says performers need compensation to reflect the value we bring to the streamers who profit from our labor. Now, the streamers are the Netflixes of the world. We said, consider this comprehensive plan for actors to participate in streaming revenue, since the current business model has eroded our residual income. And what that really means, you guys, is I was trying to use the example of being on The Office. That was a network show. And when it was on that network, I could depend on a certain amount of money. Now, when that moves to streaming, say when The Office goes to Netflix, it completely cuts away my residuals. It is a minimum upon a minimum upon a minimum of money that when network television existed before cable, before streamers, it was such a nice, sizable chunk. And that is completely eroded away for actors. It's taken away the middle class for actors completely. So what they came back with for that one is no. They just said, no, we're good. The next one says all performers need support from our employers to keep our health and retirement funds sustainable. We said contribution caps haven't been raised in 40 years. That's what they contribute to these funds for health and retirement. They imperil our pension and health plans. Would you consider raising those caps to adjust for inflation and ensure that all performers, regardless of age or location, receive equal contributions? And they came back with, here are some nominal increases nowhere near the level of inflation that won't adequately fund your health plan. Also, background child performers under 14 years of age living in the New York zone don't deserve pension contributions, which is why we haven't paid them since 1992, which is a real fact. So that's wild. Sorry if you're under 14, you're screwed. The next one, principal performers need to be able to work during hiatus and not be held captive by employers. So that's basically saying, so if you're on a show, you shoot maybe 6-7 months a year, and then those other 5 months you are held by the network or the streamer potentially because you're held for a new season. We're trying to be able to let us know so we can actually work another job to make more money to be able to live and not be just kind of completely in a chokehold by that show. They said, take these select few improvements that will only help a select few. And I can give you more specific examples. This is just an overview. Next one says principal performers need to be reimbursed for relocation expenses when they're employed away from home. We said, drop the ruse that series regulars are becoming residents of a new state or country when they go on location and adequately pay them for all of their relocation costs. And they said, well, here's some stipends which don't realistically reflect the costs of relocating to an out-of-state or out-of-country production. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret, folks. When I was really trying to be an actor, and a lot of us actors did this, is that you know, the productions that went outside of Los Angeles, which a lot started going outside of Los Angeles because it was cheaper to film in these places, say Chicago, Atlanta, New Orleans, Texas. You know, so what a lot of us actors started to do, we would get agents in those locations. We would put auditions on tape and we said, you can hire us as in-state residents. So I basically, and I'm going to act like this is a completely made up story that I never did, I would have an address in these locations and say, I'll fly myself out there. I just want to work. And I am now a resident of Texas. And I would be able to be considered for these parts that would cast out of these locations. And all of us did that. We were chasing work. We needed this, but we would pay our hotel. We would pay our flight there and back. We just wanted a day's work. We wanted to be on television or movies or anything. And a lot of us did this. You know, we wanted to be, they're called local hires. We would be a local hire for these shows. So a lot of people will have to relocate if you are put on these shows and they're not providing any kind of money to actually upend your life to go do this. Now, I think a lot of us get confused when we think about the entertainment industry. Like I always say, that it's all this glitz and glamour. Think about it when you actually have to move for a job that aren't in the acting profession. It's really hard. It costs a lot of money. The same thing as actors. We are not so unlike each other at all. And I just, that's the sad silliness of this whole thing, is that people have a really disjointed impression because all we see from TMZ and Daily Mail and all of these things is the glitz and the glamour and the Ariana Grandes and the Kanyes and the Kims, and just like, wow, we must all be like that. And it's just, sadly, it's not the case. The email starts concluding with, we marched ahead because they intentionally dragged their feet. So the AMPTP kept saying, yeah. They were dragging their feet the whole time. So SAG, Screen Actors Guild, agreed to their compressed bargaining schedule, and they subjected us to repeat stonewalling and delay. It took more than 4 weeks of bargaining for the AMPTP to agree to simple basic issues of fairness and respect, such as access to reproductive health care and gender-affirming care for performers working away from home in states that restrict medical access, a consultation process to guard against racist and sexist wiggings and paint downs of stunt performers. Wiggings and paint downs, I think that is very explainable. Use your imagination. Safety for performers working with animals on set. And then it says, is this enough? We need transformative contracts, yet remain far apart on the most critical issues that affect the very survival of our profession. Specifically, we need fair compensation that accounts for inflation, revenue sharing on top of residuals, protection from AI technology, and updates to our pension and health contribution caps, which haven't been changed in decades. This is why we are striking. The AMPTP thinks we will relent, but the will of our membership has never been stronger. We have the resolve and unity needed to defend our rights. And then they give us a bunch of charts breaking down these issues into just a lot more information, which, listen, guys, I'm not teaching a class, so I will do you the service of not walking you through everything. So that's kind of a little bit more information. I hope that makes a little bit more sense. Feel free to ask questions. I don't know if this will be up on YouTube, but if it is, drop it in the comments and I'll try to answer, or just reach out to me at sobaditsgoodwithryanbailey@gmail.com. But let's get on to our guest. I love you guys. I hope you have the best Tuesday. Love you, Mom. I hope you have the best birthday. I'm thinking about you, and we got a great guest. Like I said, her name is Jennifer Faison. You're going to hear me just kind of give her so much praise here in the intro, because I thought this 3-part docuseries on Hulu is just so worth your time. So without further ado, here is our guest for today. Bye, guys.